and welcome to another episode of What's Your Story? I'm Missy Day.
And I am Michelle Hausbeck. Hello.
Hello. Another day at the studio.
And today you're just getting the two of us. We're
That's
each
right.
other's guests.
So we asked Rick, our producer, if he would give us 2 words that we could talk about today and kind of relate it back to What's Your Story? And he did give us 2 words. He gave us honesty.
And gratitude.
2 great words.
Very good words.
So
All right.
when you think of, okay, so let's do this. So tell everybody what your word is for this year.
Okay. So my word, I pick a word every year. I got that from Missy. And my word for this year is change. So that's a really tough word. But actually, I think ties in very nicely to the words Rick gave us. What's your word for the year?
My word for this year is move. And because there are so many components to move, mentally, physically, geographically, just moving yourself, in a better place and to stretch and grow. And so I think, I'm not sure how those 2 words fit in with my word, but we're going to figure it out.
Yes, we will. Well, when we asked Rick, he first said honesty, and I thought, wow, like that's a tough one too. But I immediately thought of my word change, because what change represents for me this year is it's a lot of change in my life. So I smoke and I'm trying to quit smoking, like for real. I've never actually tried to do that for real in my life. I'm there. I'm getting there. I've reduced it. I've cut it back about 80%. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Where's the hand clappers?
Oh, we need hand claps right there. Yay! It's also changing my priorities. And that's a really tough one, because that's like your whole life, essentially reorganizing things, giving time to the things I think that really matter. Work has always crept up to number 1 for the last couple of years, and it shouldn't be at 1 for me. God should be number 1, family, friends, things that like really feed my soul. I always read this quote in different various ways, and it says, when people are on their deathbed, they don't say, man, I really wish I would have worked more. And that rang really true to me. So it's change is my word. But to even get to this point, I had to be really honest with myself. I'm the queen of justification, even to myself, even though I know I'm BSing myself, I'll believe it. So I really had to just strip all the layers away and be like, all right, what do you really want? What's important to you? And it's completely your fault why you don't have those things or things organized the way it should be. And I had to make changes, and I'm still making changes. So I had to be really honest with myself, and I've been being honest with other people to help support me in it. So when I first decided to try to quit smoking, I told Missy and my husband, and I told my husband, don't ask me about it. Just don't ask me about it. I told Missy not to tell anybody, and now I'm telling people so they will ask me, because that keeps me accountable.
I think that's pretty amazing.
Boom.
And now everyone knows that.
And now everybody knows it. And if I am at December of this year and I'm like, I'm still smoking, which I won't be, because I can't say that for 12 months, right? It's out there, and now I'm like challenging myself, right? Like I just need to be done.
I think that speaks a lot to where how you think about it, this time. Like we've had this conversation before. So my word kind of leads into one of my goals for this year is to release 100 pounds. And so in order to do that, you have to be honest about the reasons why and really think about so many things. And for me, it's a lot more than just health. It's about, we're just releasing a lot of things. And the weight is just a minuscule part of it, really, when I think about it. But for both of us, it's honesty reflects both of our, words now that you're talking about that, because and for me too, move, we have to make space for things, new things to come into our life.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means moving stuff out. And last year was a moving out period, and seems to be continuing on into this year. And but for your word change, when you first told me it was change, I was just okay.
I could hear that. Good luck with that, Michelle. No.
Because there's lots of words. Like for one, I will sit here and use the word never. I will never have patience as my word again, ever in my life. Because you know what? When you put that out there, it's like, okay, I get it. I'm patient. Not really, but
I don't think I'd ever have patience either.
I don't recommend.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, because then all these things start happening. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, your word, I know I'm excited for you, because I know it took a lot for you to make that your word, to say it, and to talk about why. And last year I don't know if it was your word, but it was kind of the phrase, the statement of, I don't want anything in my life that doesn't bring me joy. And that's a lot of moving things around, moving things out, rearranging, shifting.
Right.
It's hard to do because a lot of that does involve other people.
Yeah, it does. And, as you find, or I found since I've gotten older, it's, things become different. Priorities shift, people that you want around you shift. And it's funny when you brought up what you said, because today at the lunch, my question card was, what do you want to be remembered for, your accomplishments or your character? And I said, character. I mean, because, when you think of legacy, and people are going to be talking about you, hopefully when you're dead.
Hopefully when you're dead.
That they say things like, man, I thought she was giving or funny or caring. You know what I mean? I don't really care if people are like, well, she had a business and she seemed like she was successful.
Right.
Because accomplishments don't last, right? They're not your legacy. Sure, it's important what you do here on earth, but what's more important, I think, is, when you're gone and your character speaks for itself, and, you were a servant, really.
Yeah. Well, that's like the saying, people don't remember what you did for them. People remember how you made them feel. And I think the ultimate would be, which I feel like you're actually building, or you've built, but it's growing, is when you pass away, it's an accomplishment where people remember how you made them feel within it. So it's the legacy that continues to create the feelings that you gave people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Which is what your story, if nobody got that.
Yeah. And I think honesty, well, man, both words, when you equate it to what's your story, if the people on the stage weren't honest, people would feel that in a second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because there would be nothing, there would be no connection. There wouldn't be the feelings if they weren't being honest, just like, showing off or grandstanding or whatever. And then the gratitude. When I think of everybody that's ever been on this stage, I mean, they're very aware of what they've gone through and who got them through it.
Yep.
Which I think is important.
Yeah. Well, and gratitude too. Well, okay, so move in gratitude. Your word is, I think you're moving, like, what's your story? It's always moving to the next level, but even last year, like, I don't know, God was just all over it. It was crazy. And it's gonna happen again this year and keep happening. It's moving forward. And I thought of this when he said gratitude. I'm grateful for all the support, of course, in my life, but with What's Your Story too, because we can't do what we do without people seeing the vision,
Right.
like our speakers, they've never been there before, or two of them hadn't been there last year. And they just spoke with Missy and they started to see the vision of what it is and got excited. And I'm grateful for that.
You know what just came to me that's kind of funny is both of us in our business, there's a high level of communication that has to take place. And yet Michelle and I are not great communicators when it comes to, I don't know, like the photographer perhaps that came in or speakers. It never occurred to me till just now when you said that if speakers come and they have no idea what's happening, and it's like, and I don't explain it. I'm just like, you're going to come and tell your story. What can I tell you? Just get up on the stage when it's your turn.
Yeah. We'll signal to you. No, you do have a timeline that you do provide.
And that's about it. But I don't know if that lends to the beauty of the whole of experience, because like Gerard, he's like, I said yes, I don't know why I did. And then when I got there, I was thinking, oh my God, I have to be here all day.
And he loved it. He didn't want to go home.
That's right.
He didn't want it to end. I think a lot of people, truthfully, I don't know if this is good or bad to say, but a lot of people that know us, that come to What's Your Story, I think are doing it like for us. Like, oh yeah, we're going to support you, but are seriously like, I have to be there all day and listen to people talk. But every single one of those people, I mean, it went so fast. I was engaged the whole time. Like, I loved it. And they come back then the next year, and they, because they know it. But I think, I don't know, that's the magic of it. Like, there's nothing like it out there. Tell our audience the best way you have found to describe What's Your Story, your epiphany.
Okay, we'll try this out on you. You're the guinea pigs, and you can put in the comments, yay or forget it. But we're asked all the time, to talk about, well, what is it? And both of us, it takes us like 15 minutes before we do this roundabout thing. And by then nobody's paying attention. So I was thinking of, in the movie, The Greatest Showman, right? And he has created this super fantastic circus of weirdness and oddities. And people, say, why? What is the circus? And P.T. Barnum explains, I can't explain it. You have to see it to believe it. And that's really what your story is. I think us continually trying to explain what it is dilutes it in a way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And to what Missy was saying, how we have to communicate a lot. That's what, we're experts on in our respective fields. But people do, what's your story? And neither one of us have, our elevator pitch down and this and that, because it's so unique and it really is something you need to experience. You know how you say, oh, I love you so much, there's, no words, or whatever the statement is, like, I just don't have the words to express how it truly is or how I truly feel. That's how I feel about What's Your Story. You have to experience it and feel it. I could never describe to you what it is in words and give you that same feeling or excitement.
Yeah. Like, you were saying with Gerard, and Darcy was saying today about What's Your Story. She was I said, how would you describe it? And she goes, I can't. She said, all I can say is that once you've been in the room, you never want to miss it again.
Oh, I just got chills. Because it's true.
It is true. And, so people, take a leap of faith of somewhat, but I think you're right that a lot of the people that attend for us, initially, and if that gets in the door, so be it.
Right. I don't care what got you there. Just get there.
Yeah, because we're real clear that it's not about us.
No.
And we try to impart that onto the speakers as well every single time. It's not about you. It's about who you're going to transform in the audience. And even if that's just one person,
Right.
then that's who you were brought here for.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm trying to put this into words. So no matter what the stories are, what experiences there are, whether you've been through that or not, you're going to pick something up from it. You're going to always get a nugget from it or really connect with it. I know some people that have been there that one of their objections to coming was, because they knew me and they had heard a lot about it, was, I've never had anything tragic happen in my life. I'm not going to be able to identify. I've never had an addiction, this, that, the other thing. But they still went because they knew me. Even though it was a full day. And it's the magic I talk about. They got stuff from every person's story, almost little, whatever it was that gave them hope, or was like, oh, I could do it this way about something in their lives, even if it wasn't the same thing the speaker was going through.
It happens every time. Every time. Well, I was thinking, when Beth was sharing about her experience at What's Your Story, but I was thinking about the very first one and not really understanding what was happening or what I was doing. And I just remember afterwards, I had two of the speakers say, this is going to be something big one day. And me thinking, you're insane. It was like, this was just a thing. I was going to see how it worked, and it worked out really well, but I just didn't. If you would have told me then, you'd be doing it in Huntington Beach one day, I would be like, okay, sure. And then, and then Ahern and everything that happened last year, like you said, people just fell in our lap. And it's happening again this year.
Yep.
So let's do a little teaser with everybody. So Gary Miracle is going to be coming back as a speaker, and I can't wait because he is going to expand more on his story. And Dean Smith is going to be back. And we also have a new charity partner this year, Annie Lobert, and she is the founder of Destiny House. And man, I was reading her stuff on the website again yesterday, and I mean, living and making a living on the streets for as long as she did, and to be able to say that I don't do that anymore, and I'm helping women get off the street, that's her priority. It's just like, Beth was saying, we all have these lives, and then we share a story, and then we see somebody like Gary losing 4 limbs, or Dean, his mother is murdered. And then Annie's story. It's just like, what's happening?
And not that it's not a big deal to the storytellers, but they've been through it. And, we're sitting there with our mouths, our jaws on the floor, like, oh, like you can't imagine it, right? Because what if I went through that, right? Can't imagine it. And it's a beacon of hope and strength because they did. That's their life. It's hard to comprehend sometimes, to wrap your brain around it.
It is. It's like, when she found out she had cancer, well, let's be real. When you're a prostitute, you just usually don't have medical insurance.
Right.
Right? So she had to pay for her treatments from the street.
Yeah.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. And to where she was to where she is now, I mean, and she's giving back. She's in a sense like staying in that world to get people out of the world of that world.
Right.
So we're super excited.
I'm super excited. Dina Barnes is going to be coming back, and she's actually going to be leading a really cool activity. This time, we want to also focus on the audience as well, and making sure that the audience is engaged with people at their table. and are really plugged in more to what's going on, not just listening. And I'm not going to say who was in the works, but Michelle and I are also going to be sharing our story unless, we get Keanu Reeves.
We've been on the hunt for Keanu Reeves for like the last 3 years. So I believe in the 6 degrees of separation. So if anybody out there knows someone that might know someone that even might know someone that knows Keanu, send him our way.
Yes. Even if it's the guy that's stalking him.
Right. Keanu, we need you. What's your story? Well, one of the reasons is his story got me through one of my stories. His story gave me hope. That was the first time I really connected someone else's story could actually help me. I don't even know if I would have described it that way, but I reread it and researched. I wanted to know every little detail about, this piece of his life, where, he lost his girlfriend and then lost his child, lost his girlfriend, because it was so similar to mine, and it gave me hope. So, Keanu.
So that's why we need to make it happen. So
Yes.
anybody that knows Keanu, send him our direction.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right.
All right.
We've gone over time, as we usually do.
Yes, as we usually do. Rick's very patient with us.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Shout out to Rick. And thank you for your awesome words.
Yes, Rick Manning.
Yes,
If you're going to do a podcast, you need to do it here.
that is right. We are at the coop.
All right, I think that's all for today. Bye.
Adios.